Early Learning presentation on the 2016-17 ECAP and Head Start Saturation Study and ECAP expansion plans. The Saturation Study is produced annually by the Department of Early Learning, or DEL, to estimate the numbers and locations of eligible children who are not yet served by ECAP or Head Start. The study builds on the ECAP caseload forecast, which estimates the eligible children statewide. The study was released on March 6th to the Department of Early Learning's ECAP webpage, and I'll show you that URL at the end of this presentation. We use the saturation study as one of the factors in determining where we place new ECAP slots, along with the availability of facilities and provider readiness to provide high-quality, comprehensive ECAP services. This year's study is by school district boundary area, meaning we're estimating the number of eligible children residing within the school district boundaries. It's not about the school district as organizations providing ECAP, so I'm talking geographically when I mention school districts. We count the number of eligible children in the school district, subtract the number of preschool age ECAP and Head Start slots in sites that are physically within that district, and the result of that is the number of eligible unserved children within each district boundary. So here's some of the details of how we do this, and this is also on pages 2 and 3 of the study document. We start with the Office of Financial Management's small area demographic estimates for 2015 by school district for their total population of children birth to age 4. We use a multiplier based on birth cohort data to get to a number of 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds in each district, using that same multiplier statewide. And then we apply a school district-specific percentage of population at or below 100% of federal poverty level, which we get from the American Community Survey 5-year averages. Now we have a number of 3s and 4s in poverty by school district. Next, we apply a multiplier statewide to get from 100% of federal poverty level to 110%, which is the ECAP income eligible population. For school districts that are showing up as 0 poverty in the American Community Survey data, we substituted a percentage of first and second grade free lunch counts, our old saturation study methodology. And we did that because we have current ECAP children enrolled in some of these districts. So we know there's income eligible children living there, but the American Community Survey isn't sensitive enough to pick them up. From there, we determine the percentages of 3- and 4-year-olds on IEPs, individualized education programs with the with special education, and are on the IEP and also over the income limit for eligibility, because those children are eligible for ECAP. And then we added 10% for the children who are over the income limit and have other risk factors, because they're also included in the allowed ECAP eligible child group. We added all those groups of children together, and we confirmed that the totals match the statewide caseload forecast. Newly this year, we used a point system to determine the need for more ECAP slots within each school district service area. We're going to show you how this plays out on the next slide, but here's the logic behind the points. A district could be awarded 1 point if they're serving 50% or less of the eligible children within that school district boundary. They could receive from 0 to 5 points based on the number of unserved children within that district. For example, districts with 6 to 39 unserved children got 1 point. Districts with 500 or more unserved children got 5 points. There was additional 2 points available for the opportunity gap as measured by WAKIDS by income and race and ethnicity. So 1 point for the 25% of districts with the highest gaps by income, 1 point for the 25% of districts with the highest gaps by race and ethnicity. And then the final points awarded were 0 to 2 points based on substantial loss of child care providers who were giving service to children under age 5 who received Working Connections child care subsidy because of the provider's choice not to apply for early achievers. That last factor only impacted 5 school districts in the state. There was 1 point for the districts that lost providers who served 24 to 30 children, 2 points for districts that lost providers who served more than 30 children. So of the 10 possible points, no district received more than 7. And here's what it looks like when we apply the points. So I'm going to show just a few examples. Auburn School District had 313 ECAP and preschool age Head Start slots. They had 886 eligible children estimated within their school district service area. That means they're serving 35% of the children, and 573 are unserved. Therefore, they received the 1 point for serving less than 50%, 5 points for their total number of underserved children, 1 point for one of the opportunity gap WAKITS values, and no points for the Working Connection subsidy gap. So they have a total of 7 points. You can see that Bellingham School District, just under Auburn here, has 7-point total also, but they got their points in a different way. 1 point for serving less than 50%, 4 points for unserved children, total number of unserved children, and then 2 points for losing providers who were serving Working Connections child care subsidy children. Okay, and I just put up a variety here so you can see the various ways this could play out. Derringer School District has no current slots, but 22 eligible children, for example. We don't have the geographic data for smaller areas than school district service areas, but if you're needing that, we have a recommendation that you contact your school districts and obtain the free lunch data for first and second graders for each elementary school. Then you can look at the number of unserved children we're presenting for that school district in this study and divide your free lunch data between, or divide those unserved children proportionately between the elementary schools by free lunch data. And we say free lunch data rather than reduced price lunch because free lunch is much closer to the ECAP eligibility requirement. I want to point out that anywhere we're listing unserved children in this study, that's the total estimate of unserved children. We don't expect that all families will choose to participate in ECAP. In fact, in the caseload forecast, we're currently estimating that 51% of eligible 3-year-olds and 82.5% of eligible 4-year-olds would participate if space was available. On page 4 of the study document, you'll see that the school districts are in 8 groups reflecting their points. So we have 7 districts in priority group 1, 9 districts in priority group 1, with each with 7 points. If you go all the way to the back page for priority group 8, we have 57 districts that have 0 points. Okay, I'm going to do a quick summary of our ECAP expansion plans here. The ECAP request for applications, or RFA, is going to be released on March 31st. Applications will be due back to us, to the department, by April 28th. You can apply for part day, full school day, and or extended day slots. We won't know the final numbers of slots funded for each model until the state budget's completed at the end of the legislative session. So we'll need you to apply for what you want before we have information about what we can fund for the coming year. For existing contractors that would like fewer part day slots so they can add more longer day slots, there'll be an opportunity to express this in the application. We'll not be able to determine if it's possible until we've reviewed all applications and ensured that there's locations for all the part day slots funded by the legislature. DEL will evaluate and prioritize applications in May, and then the final decisions and negotiations will occur after the legislative decisions about funded slots and state budgets are complete. I want to remind you that the RFA is for organizations that are or want to become ECAP contractors. And I want to take a few minutes to clarify the difference between a contractor and a subcontractor, or possibly you might call them a provider. So the contractors are the ones that provide the whole infrastructure for ECAP. This means they must have systems for program planning and service system design for education, health services coordination, family engagement and support, and nutrition services in alignment with all the ECAP contractual requirements, including the ECAP performance standards. The contractors also must have systems for ongoing monitoring and continuous improvement of ECAP services, including monitoring their subcontractors and sites. They must have systems to support the fidelity of Creative Curriculum 5th edition or high scope curriculum or an approved alternative research-based curriculum. They must have systems to conduct developmental screening and quarterly child development assessment, systems for marketing and recruitment of potential ECAP families within their service area, for financial management of ECAP funds according to the contractual requirements, for community assessment of needs for ECAP services, for facility development and management, for human resources, including hiring staff who meet the ECAP staff qualification requirements, in training and professional development. And they must also have systems for record keeping and reporting to DEL, including data entry into the early learning management system used by ECAP. We call that system ELMS. A contractor supports their subcontractors and sites with this infrastructure so that the frontline staff can focus on working directly with children and families. Generally, it requires at least 75 ECAP and Head Start slots combined to have ample funding to provide this kind of infrastructure. And that 75 slot figure is based on Head Start's 50 years of experience. Organizations or providers who want to participate but cannot be contractors that manage the whole infrastructure of ECAP can become an ECAP subcontractor. They work under an organization that contracts directly with DEL, and it's important to know that the sites where children's classrooms are will need to be able to rate 4 or 5 in early achievers within 12 months if they're not licensed child care, or within 18 months if licensed child care. So we have state law saying that all ECAP will be level 4 or 5 in early achievers. If you're interested in becoming a subcontractor, DEL ECAP staff can help connect you with existing or potential ECAP contractors so that you can begin planning for 2017-18 or for 2018-19. Now back to the application. The applications will be awarded points based on readiness to provide infrastructure for high quality ECAP, availability of facilities, proposed budget, current early achievers, ratings, that sort of thing. That will all be questions in the RFA. Applicants who meet a point threshold will be awarded slots in order of their saturation study priority grouping. So we're back to those 8 priority groups inside the saturation study. All slots that meet the threshold will be sorted, or all applications that meet the threshold will be sorted by the addresses of proposed ECAP sites and their class start dates. All the slots that we can start by September 30th within the boundary of Priority 1 school districts will be filled first. Then the Priority 2 school districts, 3, 4, etc. in that order. If there's additional slots, we'll start again with the Priority 1 group of school districts for slots that could start later than September 30th. So the important takeaway right now is if you're planning to apply for ECAP expansion slots, you should start planning now to know the physical locations of proposed ECAP expansion slots, because you'll be needing that information of the physical locations in the application process. Expansion slot awards will be announced as soon as possible after the governor signs the 2017-19 state budget. The current legislative session is predicted to run into June this year. Contractors must be able to plan their services, hire staff, attend DEL trainings, and recruit children during the summer of 2017. If you're awarded slots, it'll be critical to have staff start working on ECAP right away. And then children must begin ECAP classes by September 30th. We intend to keep this as a priority, even if legislative session runs a bit later than expected. Here is a URL so that you can download the saturation study document. It has 3 brief pages of information about how the study was conducted, and then has about 4 pages of tables of school districts and how they fell into priority groupings for the next ECAP slots. So it's on the DEL website at del.wa.gov/ECAP. If you have questions about this presentation or about the saturation study itself, you can send them to ECAP at del.wa.gov. That's ECEAP@del.wa.gov. Thank you for your time and attention today, and good luck with your applications.